Well, music chose me, I think, more so than I choosing it. I think our family were always steeped in it. My parents were set dancers. They just like going out dancing at the weekend. So, it was always there, and I just wanted to play myself. And I was self-taught as well, because I was too self-conscious, I think, to go and get a teacher. But then, as life progressed in the States, I met a guy from Castlebar in County Mayo called Johnny Hoban. He said to me one day, was like, why don't you write your own songs? And I was like, what? I don't know anything about that. And he said, well, he was saying, well, why don't you just write about, what you know, your locality or neighbours, something, even if it's not true, whatever it is, just something that you're familiar with, rather than doing some pie in the sky thing that you don't know anything about. Of course, the most famous song that I kind of know is Work on the Streets, which I had no experience of at all. It's only based on a story a guy told me in a pub. But, so I didn't follow his advice exactly. But most of my other songs after that are kind of based on that. And I think that's why I met such a connection the other night at Lady Gregory, because people were able to identify, even though they had never heard any of the songs before. They were able to identify with the themes that I was talking about, the places I mentioned, the situations that were involved as well. Even when I was talking about the Virginian when it came on television, like pretty much everyone in the hall, I could tell, knew exactly what I was talking about there. Because it was a new thing. We're watching cowboy movies on the television at long last. Great. You had to go to the cinema before that to see them. I think once I started doing that, I kind of found my groove, or I knew where I should be going,
Okay, so I'm Vincey Keehan's sister, a little bit younger, not a lot. I live in County Clare. I grew up one of 6 siblings, and my role in the album, I suppose, I've always been interested in music and song, and particularly interested in the compositions of Vincie in particular, I think, because there's a great resonance. So Flahulach means generosity. It's almost like a bigger form of generosity, the word that we know as generosity. And it's a giving. It's a way of sharing and giving. And there's a great flahulachus, that's what I would say, in the whole project that was Great Highway, because Vincie has for many years, worked on songwriting, and all of his songs, I think, come from here. They come from the heart, and they're not trying to be anything in particular, they're just very much about his experiences, both with his family and his children and his travels and heroes. And there's a huge generosity in that. He's not trying to get out there for what's popular or what, just. And he is the most flahula person you and I have ever met.
Joe Keehan, I'm a year older than him. When I was about 4 years old, I got rheumatic fever when I was going to my first year of school. I was so ill that I had to stay at home. And by the time that I had recovered from it, my mother decided, screw it now, let's wait till next year. And the two of you start together. So actually Joe and myself then were in school together, since in infants. So, we're joined at the hip, me and him. And there's not a week goes by that I don't talk to him 5 times. And it's been like that all through our lives. Yeah. So we're very, very close, the two of us. I never lifted a finger in the farm. I was just not cut out for the farming life at all. I think a lot of people mightn't realise that the farmers actually love their animals so much. They're almost like their kids a bit, They love their cows and their cattle and sheep, and they're out stay out all night when they're calving and everything. It's not just business to them at all. Especially these small rural farms, maybe if you had a big, industrial one, which they're not really in Ireland anyway. Maybe I'm too long in California, but you will not hear the average farmer expressing love in any way outside of what you see. They're not going to talk about it, just they can't do it. And we're all guilty of that, like.
Certificate of Outstanding Musical Achievement. This prestigious award has never before been bestowed upon any man, woman or child. So I took a good few lessons in the banjo, and for a while I thought I was getting quite good at it. And I used to be listening to Dizzy Mulcair and some of the great banjo players, and I actually thought I was nearly as good as them. One fateful day, a great friend of mine, he was until that moment, called Pat O'Donnell. I think he's here. I told him not to let him in, but he might be here. Pat came to the house along with my other former good friend Paddy Egan, and they asked me would I play a tune in the banjo. And because I took out my banjo and I tuned it up, and I played me a few tunes. And on a Saturday night, Pat O'Donnell rang me and he said, "Are you coming into Hindley's tonight, Josie?" So I went in, and Pat O'Donnell stood up in a stool. "I have an announcement to make," he said. "I have an award to give to Josie Keehan." I shoved out my chest. I said, "My God, this must be good." And all I could think of in my moment of madness was the Oscars. Do you ever watch the Oscars? And Paddy Egan took out this massive big thing. He said, "The award," he said, "is, I'm going to present this to Josie Keehan, a very accomplished award, for being the worst banjo player in the world." I'm his younger brother. We went to school together, we were brought up together, and in fairness to him, it must have been fairly difficult, to compose some songs and put some music behind them and have the time to do it whilst working and running his company. It couldn't have been very easy, but he has done it. And it was probably his lifelong ambition to compose some songs and make an album. I think this is kind of the pinnacle of it, really. I think the family here are very proud of it. I think it means a lot to me, and my siblings are delighted over it, and I'm sure my parents, if they're alive, I'd be very proud of it.
So this is our family. So I'm here on the right, then Vincie, then Joe, and then Bridget, my sister, and Mum and Dad, outside our home in County Galway. The photo on top is of my late daughter, and Vincie, one of the songs on the album, he dedicated to the memory of Emer, and it's called The Lovely Woodlands of Clare.
Where are you now, my friend, the old ash tree? I told you all my secrets, what I'd grow up to be. I'll wander down to where the daisies and the primrose grow. That's the place I used to go, and you'd find me there in the lovely woodlands of Clare.
Mary Noonan is a force of nature. Like, Mary's brilliant. Mary does as much work as like 20 people. She was also the principal of a school in Killanena for many years, and she's retired now. She knows everyone. She knows the people that work on the radio stations, the people in the newspapers. She's been involved in the school over the years. She got to know a lot of people. So she's very well connected. Plus she's a great singer, so she goes around to all the singing clubs all over the country singing as well. Well, until she lost her daughter Emer there 5 years ago. That was like a devastating blow for her, because Emer and herself actually were like another mother and daughter, but they were almost more like sisters. So they had that kind of a relationship, and it was really very, very hard on Mary to lose her that time. When she died she was out jogging in a place called Aidan in France where she was teaching, and she somehow or another tumbled down a ravine and hit her head, and she died.
So the backstory of that?
Yeah, well, I don't know what to talk about now. Well, I'm passing on.
You don't want to go there?
No.
It was so unfortunate, because she was a beautiful girl, really talented musician, great singer, just kind of perfect, like a little angel actually. She was a lovely person. So we were all devastated, but none more so than her mother, of course, and father. 5 years ago, I mean, it doesn't seem that long ago, but yeah. She's like, when she has a problem, she'd say, like, Emer, tell me what to do now here. You know, how should I do this? And she's convinced that she's getting guidance, you know. And, you know, it's great that she still, you know, you never get over something like that. So I think it's good that she has that connection all the time, like, you know, whether it's just a spiritual connection or what it is, it's good for her.
The wishing tree. I thought of her as the wishing tree that died and saw it lifted root and branch to heaven, trailing a shower of all that had been driven, need by need by need, into its hale sapwood and bark. Coin and pin and nail came streaming from it like a comet tail, new minted and dissolved. I had a vision of an airy branch head rising through damp cloud, of turned up faces where the tree had stood.
There's snow falling o'er the Midlands now, and the wind it whips through the trees. Far across the town of Mullingar, the famine gives no ease. From the villages the most are gone, they have died or gone away. There's a boat leaving Cove next week, and on it I will be. 3 weeks we spent on board that boat, sailing in a ship of hell. How many people died on board, no one there can tell. We're bound for Argentina, boys, that far off distant land, where they say that the pampas grasses there grow tall at your command.
Okay, so the song was called Argentina. So the first line says, Ira Gorta, men of the famine. I still get emotional when I say that. Ira Gorta, tá ar Montz trécha. We've had our lands, our homes and villages are deserted. It's funny, like, you know, obviously we're so far removed from it, but yet we have a huge, immediately you have an emotional response. It seems it's there in our DNA somewhere. But from that horrible experience and from that tragedy, you know, grew a wonderful a new thing was born, really, I think, from the immigration and the amazing diaspora that's all over the world, something that grew from tragedy, really. You know. I mean, I was a teacher myself, and so I always taught the children lots of songs in Gaelic so that they would have that, you know. They're not speaking Gaelic at home anymore, but they will carry the songs to their children, I hope. And it was similarly with the people who emigrated in the diaspora, who left, you know, so long ago.
I would always have thought like that, if my singing or my songs or whatever it might be, or you know, if it brought a little bit of happiness to somebody, there's nothing better than you can do than that. You know, if you bring some bit of happiness to somebody's life, which I think we succeeded in doing the other night at the Lady Gregory. I don't think that you can ask for any more as a musician than if you can succeed in doing that. When somebody comes out to hear you play, that they go home with a smile on their face. If you do that, you've done your job, I think. Yeah, I think any artist actually succeeds in doing that. They've done a good thing.